Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Matt Spurk. I'm back with another live stream of Kraken build. So we're going to work this weekend on getting Kraken ready to get on the ground and drive. And then we also have our old heavyweight four-letter word, which is the very first heavyweight robot that we ever built. It's over 15 years old now, so it's slow, it's boxy, it's kind of junky, but we're going to try and get that one put back together a little bit as well. It just needs a speed controller bolted in, which we have them set up on the side, and a receiver bolted in, some batteries, and it's ready to go. I mean, it's 15 years old, but you can't kill the thing, so it'll be fun. And we'll see if Kraken can kill it. So hopefully the plan is today to get Kraken up and running, and then we'll do what we need to do to get four-letter word up and running, and then hopefully tomorrow afternoon we'll get on here again and we'll fight the two. So stay tuned today and come back tomorrow. All right, let's get to work. So, let's actually talk about what we're going to do today instead of just jumping into it. So we've got Kraken. Can't really see it from there. Let me adjust the camera. Boop. There we go. So it's getting pretty close to being together. The speed controllers are in, drives in, tires are on, pneumatics are in. The lights all work, the flame system works, everything's all ready to go, but it's obviously missing its jaw and its head, and airbag system and everything like that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on finish welding out the teeth that we started last week. Then we're going to put the jaw retraction system in, and then from there we're going to get everything kind of bolted back up and back together. All right, so there we go. Move her out of the way so you can see a little bit. You can see the jaw in the background there. And we'll get that all wired up. We were working on Kraken 2, getting it all set up as well. So she's over here getting close. These are the finished side panels. These are the ones that we'll actually use on the show. So for our test tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, we're going to reuse the stuff that we had last year because these panels do get really tore up throughout the course of the competition. So we start over brand new panels and stuff, and we start a new bot. So it doesn't take very long. We've got patterns made and everything. We still end up misdrilling the holes half the time, but whatever. So all right, let's get to work. Start with safety glasses. some of those are terrible, but that's all right. We'll call that good for now. It's okay. It's not the best. Whoops. Did I lose you? No, there we go. Okay. I'm trying to install another update again. I had to stop it before we lost another video. But not the best welder, not the best welder. But we got the teeth on. There we go. That's what those guys all look like. Kind of gnarly looking, really alligator, animalistic sea monster looking, which is what we were going for. Welds are terrible. Well, we'll grind them up and they'll be good as new. There's a saying, a grinder and paint may be the welder I ain't. And that saying applies to me. We have professional welders on our team. My brother's an excellent welder. My father-in-law is an excellent welder. I am not an excellent welder. My dad's an excellent welder. But all those people are not here. So you get what you get. What you get is me. So it's all right. It works. All right, let's go on to the next part. So if you notice, Kraken, obviously the jaw is very narrow. It's only about 6 or 8 inches wide. The head itself is really wide, and that's to accommodate the airbags. So the airbags, as we call them, or they're pneumatic lifting bags, appropriately called. Here's one of the ones that Shatter put a hole in last year, so you can see where Shatter hit us in the bag in one of our grudge matches and blew open our bag. But these bags are 15 inches by 15 inches. They're designed to be run at 116 psi, and so they produce around 20,000 pounds of force. Now we run ours at 300 psi, so we're getting closer to 60,000 pounds of force. But in order to put that airbag down, it needs more surface area. So we put a big aluminum plate on there, which is a little bit larger than the airbag, just to kind of protect the edges of the airbag from vertical spinners and such. And that 1/4-inch aluminum plate is what distributes that load from the airbag down onto the jaw. So we're going to work right now. Clean up a little bit. So we're going to work right now. Here's our aluminum plate. This one's for jaw 1. That is jaw 1. We have different jaws. So we have jaw 1 is the long tooth configuration. Jaw 2 is the short tooth configuration. So jaw 1 is going to be the one we're going to use for our test. These are reused as well. You can see this one's got a little chunk taken out of it. The one in jaw 2 is really tore up. But jaw 1 will be ready to go. So we're going to get it bolted up.
Hey, did you play?
They're swimming in the backyard right now.
Oh, okay.
There's the hardware for our thing. Somehow lost the bolts for the head. For both of them, actually. that's lousy. It's gonna make it hard to put our robot back together. We can't find bolts to put it back together. There they are. Found them. Apparently we got a strip hole, so we're going to clean that out. I think we probably just got a weld BB down in there. And a little piece of weld splatter went down inside there and stuck on the threads. Figured it all up. So what these actually are, the whole hold this plate on is we take a coupler nut and we just weld it onto the side. So when you weld it on and take it on and off, you got to clean it out a couple times because the weld distorts the threads a little bit. So you just run the tap through it. That's fine. Yeah. Just had that little burr there in the beginning. The bolt should thread in really easily. There shouldn't be a lot of resistance here. So it should have been a hint when I grabbed the impact driver. This one's pretty good as well. It's just got a little bit of, just hanging up just a little bit. So we'll just run this through. Clear those threads just a little bit. And when you're running the tap, it's good. You run it through, you feel a little bit of resistance, you back it up and clear those chips a little bit and run it back through. This has already been tapped, so there shouldn't be a lot of debris in there. But it's just kind of one of those things you can snap the tap really easily if you're tapping anything, steels especially. Aluminums like to gum up. They like to make little chips that get in there and gum it up. So that should go through there now. Let's take a look. That's better. All right. Those are those threads too. That may not be worth the time to try and save. More where that comes from. Better. All right. Still a little, I just feeling the jaw to make sure it was cooled down sufficiently. So what we're going to do next is install the retraction system. So Kraken, the jaw goes down, it's pushed down by an airbag. You need something to pull it back up. So this is what we use. series of 6 compression springs. They're just kind of all ganged together on a single piece of all thread. There's a little strap saver down inside there, a little piece of hose that we use. And basically all that it does is this assembly goes down inside the jaw. There's a little hole in the front. We'll put a pin through it, and that pin, this jaw comes back up through the top. We pin it in the inside of the jaw. And these 6 springs, each one of these springs is ridiculously strong. You gang 6 of them together, and it's super strong in the several hundred pounds of force that it takes to pull these springs is zero effort for the airbag. The airbag has no problem pulling these guys away. So we'll go ahead and get these guys kind of lined up and installed. And we've got enhancements that we're going to make to this strap. It's individually sewn. You can see there's a little loop on there. We're going to make some enhancements to this strap to give ourselves a little bit extra length on there, and also to make it a little bit easier to install this guy, because right now it's kind of a tricky installation operation. We've made some enhancements to the jaw where you can install this with one person, but as of right now, it's kind of a tricky operation. So, in BattleBots, when you're competing, you don't have a lot of time for things to be difficult. Everything needs to be quick and fast, and be able to get this strap out, do an inspection, put it back in, needs to be quick. So you can see the jaw for Kraken, once it's all put together, we can actually pull one pin, pull the whole jaw out, slide a new jaw in, put the pin back in, reconnect the lights up and everything like that, and we're ready to go. Changing the jaw out this season will take less than 30 minutes, whereas last season we had to completely unbolt the head, move all the lights over, change all the setup, and it took several hours, which was not okay. So we'll fix that. We got that fixed for this year, I think. So, all right, let's get the springs installed. Give you kind of an idea of how much force those springs exert. This is the return bar on Kraken, so you can see it's kind of wobbling there as it kind of goes around. It's got kind of a little loop. You look closely, yeah, there we go. So you can see that bow in it. It was obviously straight when we started, so this grade 5 bolt is not going to be strong enough. We're going to have to go. Hopefully, a grade 8 will be sufficient. If not, we'll have to drill out those holes and make it a little bit bigger diameter bolt. The other thing that'll help us was when we were first doing these tests, we weren't tensioning the nuts on the end. We'd put it in and just hand tight. That didn't give us any tension on the bolt, so the bolt was able to kind of pull through the hole. So now we're going to install the bolt and then tension the bolts to give it a little bit of extra strength. It seems to help from the tests that we've done, but obviously we need a stronger bolt than that one. So, this one. So in our new arrangement where we drilled the holes, you actually just set the jaw like that and slide the pins all the way to the bottom and then slide the pin through all at once, all in one motion. So this first setup, but in order to use that hole, we have to adjust the straps. I haven't adjusted the straps yet. The reason being is we're actually making cloth masks for people. So my wife's in there. She's been working for the past week making masks to kind of help people. So we're trying to do what we can. I realize it's kind of limited, but we're trying to do what we can to help out. But so it makes it Gotta have priorities, you know. So. Board. Swap out that 1x4 with the 2x4. There we go. Right there. Oh, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use my other hole. Oh, I got one spring that will not get in place. There we go. There we go. it's a pain if you don't use that bottom hole. Now I lost the nut. Where did it go? That nut on the floor. Right. Alright, so we're gonna move this guy over. Let's see what's going on here. Drop the jaw down a little bit, camera down a little bit. There we go. So scary looking, right? Looks great. Super sharp. So we'll see what happens when we bite into something with those little teeth. We may end up just knocking them all off in one go, but we'll see. It'll be cool. We'll just make a million of them, and then when we knock them off, it won't be that big of a deal. Our pin. Don't need those. Just spent like 5 minutes and cleaned up the shop a little bit, so I remember everything was. Made this video a little bit smoother. That's okay. Trying to show you guys what it's actually like to build Kraken. It's half the time it's walking around trying to find the part you just had. There's one there. There it is. So we're going to swap. So we've got this pin. They're just held in place with little cotter pins. This one doesn't have his cotter pins installed yet, so we're going to swap it out for the one from the other bot that already has the holes drilled in it. It has the cotter pins. One of the two cotter pins permanently installed. And then we'll show you the fun, which is installing the jaw method. Earlier this week, I installed the back panel on Kraken 2 so that it would start to bend. When we make it, it's really flat. So we put it on and mounted just a couple screws on it so that it had some time to kind of bend and get that shape. The material to kind of relax a little bit. It used to be in get a nice curve to it now. But make it tricky to get this pin out. Alright. So now we're going to start with this operation. Just pushing this strap up through the hole. Now once we get to fighting weight, we'll cut this strap down to probably about there. And this will all extra will just be left over and stitch that over. Make a nice little piece there, but for now we're just going to handle it that way. All right. There we go. So the jaw's installed now. Simple as that, right? Super simple. Next, we're going to pull our, this is our airbag filter. We're going to move it out of the way just a moment while we get this guy installed. So this contraption that we're installing on the top is our tensioner to pre-tension the spring. So the springs have to have an initial tension on them in order for the jaw to pull all the way up, right? So once we pass the jaw, as soon as we start to fill the bag, we want it to push back up and fight back against it. These springs have a long range of deflection on them. So piece doesn't need to be super tight down. It does just needs to be enough that the we had a little bit of air left there. I think I'm gonna leave that on. Have a little bit of air left in one of the bottles, and I bumped the bottle and it started to flow air. So So now you can see how kind of the ratchet mechanism, once you start getting a couple ratchets on it, it's pulling it up. We're starting to already get some tension on the springs, but not enough, right? See, I pull it down, it doesn't have enough tension to pull it back up. So if it's down here, a little bit of friction from the spring down at that end, I don't have enough tension there. So what I need to do is pre-tension this guy. to where now as I pull this guy down just a little bit, it snaps all the way back up. So we're in the very, might not be able to see it from there, but we're in the very bottom hole there. Normally we'd be in this hole, which is where our retention mechanism would work. So for our first test, we're going to have to kind of come up with a method of retaining that. I wonder if I need to drop it down. I was hoping, whenever I was going through this, my thought process here was I could tension this to the point where I could put the pin in and just over tension the springs. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because can't see the loop, but it's way down in there. It's got probably another inch to go. That's a lot of extra travel on there. On the springs and on this mechanism that's kind of jankily welded together by yours truly. Let's drop it down. See if I can fish it through. Oh, I should have warned you. Loud noise. Was that scary? It was scary for me. I had my hand there. Every time I release that jaw, I'm like, without fail. If you missed that, that was, that's what I do every time. I don't like that. I'm going to mark my strap where I need to put my new loop in. So all we need to do to fix that so that we can use that hole is just sew a new loop on the ratchet strap. That's all. I say that's all because that's my wife's doing it. Not gonna be fun from there. Let's see if we can do it. I was hoping to cheat in that move. We're gonna try and cheat. There, I have to pull the jaw back out. Dang it. I was hoping to cheat. I can't cheat. Stupid thing there. Huh?
Hope you're enjoying the concert.
Oh, it's beautiful. Singing is wonderful. All right. Take two. From the top. Very frustrating. Oh, I got an idea. Brainstorm. Real-time problem solving. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and put a clamp on this jaw. We'll get this guy located. What we think the proper height is. We put a clamp over it. Yeah, there we go. A genius. Good work. I'm very smart. All right. It works. Super janky. Super jank. But it works. Got real-time problem solving here, ladies and gentlemen. Won't get down on other teams. They solve their problems before they start building. Oh, not us. We like to find them as we go along. And we are built are full of surprises. All right. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm insane. Partially because I'm building a 250-pound combat robot microdog, actually, because I'm building two of them. But also because they can't tell I'm talking to you on the internet. And they instead just think I'm talking to myself. That's okay. If they thought I was insane, they wouldn't be far from the truth. All right. So that's there. Where's down? That's up. We're in business, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't see any of the previous videos, this thing actually weighs like, it's over 50 pounds. I think it's like 60 pounds total with the jaw and the top plate and everything on it. That might be including the airbag. Anyway, it's heavy. It sucks to lift it up and put it on the ground. Heavyweight robots are heavy. Who'd have thought it? It's the oddest thing. So that's it. Repeat the process. Hey, I am. I already told the internet that the neighbors probably think I'm crazy, insane. Partially because I'm building a 250-pound robot in my garage, and partially because I'm talking to myself.
Did you print those little things?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
They should be. Would you like me to pull them off the printer for you? Is she ready to come pick them up? Hi, Kitty. Okay. Okay, I'll be in just a second.
Did you agree to send those to my business, or did you tell me to send them? Because I was gonna offer them to the master teacher. Send them to
Absolutely. I have no one in line. If they need more, I will print more. All right. So that's tensioned enough. Give me just one moment. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some of the 3D printed parts that I made earlier today to help some of the first-line medical folks. They were complaining about the elastic straps for the, I'll get that here. The elastic straps for the masks were cutting into their ears, so we made these little 3D printed parts that you can hook the elastic straps to, and it sits on the back of your head, and it helps keep the elastic off your ears. So I'll be right back and we'll grab it. There we go. Sorry about that. So this is what we're making. There's these little flexible pieces. They would sit down here. Actually, I'll just adjust the camera. Look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We have the technology to move a laptop camera. So this guy would sit behind your head, and the elastic from the surgical mask would then hook on these little hooks, and you can adjust it based on the tension that you need for your head. So each one of these guys takes about 40 minutes to print. I've got a set of 4. So it takes about 2.5 hours to print per set. So we're really excited about them. So yeah, see Jen's on here. Can't see your head, be shorter. Yeah, sorry about that. So we'll move the camera down. And smart and the 3D printed your thing. So this is not my idea. It's not my design. If you are interested, you have a 3D printer or a sewing machine you're interested in helping out, there's a website called getusppe.org. You can log on there and register as a maker, and they have files that you can print, templates that you can sew. They show you how to sew it, different parts and pieces that they need made to help support PPE for our first-line medical folks. Printing some of these guys. We're going to make some more of them, and then we'll see where they go. So, all right, I'm going to take this guy back inside, and then we'll get started on finishing up this jaw mounting, and we'll finish putting Kraken 1 together and ready to test. All right, so we're getting close to having this guy ready to go. I'm just needing a little bit more attention here. Yeah, I think we're there. Okay, so now that this guy is tension, the jaw is all the way up, and it's quite difficult now to. Oh, well, I dropped the jaw back. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I forgot to move the camera back. So now the jaw tension really strong. You can only push it down a couple of inches without really straining. The airbag has, like I said, has no problem pushing this straight down to the ground. It'll push these teeth all the way down past the bottom frame. So we'll have no problems with that. But what we need to do now is we need to release the tension up here without the jaw collapsing to the floor again. And the way we do that is we take a little piece of Allen wrench and we will slide it in there. So we will unbolt. This is probably the worst part of this design. But you can do it with one person. Last season's one required 2 people to install the jaw. It required 2 people to do the entire operation. So this is kind of takes a while. It's not the most efficient installation method, but one person can do it by themselves. So we need to find Allen wrench. Where will we put it? Can't find the Allen wrench that we had before. Oh, yeah, there it is. Found it. I did find it. I'm a liar. Found it now. And it's now, so all that we're doing, let me see if I can get this close enough that you don't have to see what's going on now. So, sorry about shaky cam. I apologize. So if you look right, oops, let me go to the left and look down. Oh, wait, there it is. There we go. See that little Allen wrench? All that we've done is we've taken that guy and we've slid it through a little loop in the strap. So when we release the tension, all the tension we're going to release is on this part of the strap, the upper half of the strap. The bottom half that's down inside here, below the Allen wrench and down here, will still remain tight. So apologies for shaky cam. There we go. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of a boom again. Solenoid valve back down to place. That's it. Now everything is set. We can Set this piece. There we go. The jaw is tension. The mechanism is cleared out of the way. We're ready to move on with mount the head. So we're going to go right now. Reinstall our solenoid. And all we're doing is we just use a U-bolt when it just pinches the solenoid throat against a rubber pad. And we'll tighten up our nut, which at one point was a lock nut. It is no longer a lock nut. It's just a regular nut with plastic on it. And now we can take this. And like I mentioned, this will get cut to probably about here, so that we don't have, half a mile extra shaft floating around, but won't hurt anything. That will get installed. We'll start connecting some of our lights. So number 1 is for the body. Number 2. So this one's for the eyes. This one is for the body. So we can this piece down here. This piece. Yeah. All right, and that we can finish our. Hey, bud, what's going on? Making a video. You say hi to the internet? No. There you go. All the enthusiasm. So, here's one of our new pneumatic lifting bags from our sponsor, Rental Tools Online. They've hooked us up the last 2 years with these bags, and again this year. So they've been a sponsor of ours for 3 years now. Could not have Kraken without them. So thank you, Rental Tools Online. There. That is that. That looks great. So it's got the airbag's got to be pushed way down in the jaw so that we can mount the head pieces. Loose for now. So last season, what I'm installing right now are called nut strips. These are courtesy of one of our other sponsors. And all the sponsor shout outs this time. Fingertech Robotics. They make a 1 pound, sorry, not 100 gram, 1 pound kit called the Viper ant weight. 1 pound robots are called ant weight, so it's an ant weight kit, and this is the Viper kit, which personally is one of the best kits on the market. Personally, it's my personal favorite for new builders. Get you started and then ready to go. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit so you don't have just a torso talking to you. It's kind of weird, just a torso. There we go, just a little. Back it up. All right, so what do we got going on? We got the jaw installed with the jaw plate, head plate on it. We are going to loosen these screws just a little bit around the edges here. And what that gives us is just a little bit of play for mounting some of the head panel pieces. Some of the head panels got kind of worked. And we're going to have to reuse last year's panels because we don't want to tear up our good panels in a little sparring match. We don't want to have to order any more plastic than we need to. Yeah. So these, I'm sorry, I didn't finish what I was talking about. I talked a little bit about finger tech, but I didn't tell you why finger tech is sponsoring us. So these little red pieces here are called nut strip. So what they are used for, oh, it's angled up too high and you can't see anything. Yeah, you can see. Yeah. So these little red pieces are called nut strip. And what they are used for is they have little tapped holes all along the length of them. And these tapped holes allow you to just mount something really quickly. Last year, we made little aluminum brackets, which we had to we bought pieces of aluminum. We had to drill them all individually. Then we had all the screws and all the the screws and the nuts and washers and everything to mount the heads. And then we go up against blacksmith and he folds all of those aluminum angles over. So then we had to go back and remake all those pieces and rebend them all, straighten them all. And by the end of the tournament, they were just completely destroyed. So these are a solid piece of billet square. And hey, what's going on, bud? Looking for the boys? Maybe they were in the pool still. Okay. So these guys will not get folded over. Blacksmith can hit them all day long. He's not going to hurt them. So you can still see them up here. All right. I think we're good. We're loose all the way around. So we will work on getting head panels mounted. So let's take a look here. So we've got a complete set of panels made up for. What you need, bud?
Nothing, I'm just
chilling.
6 feet.
Maintaining your 6 feet.
Yep.
All right. You bored, bud?
Yeah, I'm bored.
That one's pretty rough. That one's a little better shape.
Why are the stickers falling off already?
Because those are panels from last year.
Oh.
Last year, she already fought.
So you guys are always the Kraken?
We are always the Kraken.
When you guys are done, can you put it in the road and can I see it move?
Yeah, we're going to hopefully fight tomorrow.
Oh my.
Hopefully. Let's see.
In the morning, maybe when I get up. When are you guys going to leave?
It'll probably be tomorrow afternoon.
Oh. So before the afternoon, can you take it out and put it on the road in the loop and I see the fire flames and stuff?
Hopefully. That's the plan. That's what we're working on. That's what I'm doing today. Trying to get her all.
Man, that thing looks like a beast.
Dang. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use, so these are this year's frames, and the mounting holes for them are slightly different than what we did last year. So we're going to use last year's or this year's pieces as a template and use it to drill the holes for this year. We don't need all the holes, but we do need some of them.
What's that?
What's that? It's YouTube. We're live on Facebook. So we're just telling people what we're doing.
You make YouTube video?
Yep, I am right now.
How much followers do you have?
I don't know. Right now, probably 1, maybe 2. How many YouTube followers do you have?
I have like, probably like, let's see.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh,
Having trouble keeping track because you have so many.
yeah. Probably like 260 or something.
260. Wow. What do they watch you do?
Fortnite, basketball, swimming, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Snorkeling, metal detecting.
Wow, you do it all on your channel, huh? Awesome. Awesome. There we go. All right.
I also do TikTok.
Great. So here's what we did. We just took our 2 panels, clamped them together so we can see, and now we can drill our holes, and we'll get it going. We don't need a real high level of precision to make this part because we are just for a test, right? We're just kind of screwing around with this guy, so it's not perfect. We'll get out a bigger drill bit. That's part of the fun of garage built robots. Just get close and then we'll fix it from there. Keep this out. We're going to do the other side. As a job, I work as an engineer, and so I have to be very precise. I have to be very exacting. But when I'm building robots, I can just kind of make whatever I want and drill a hole wherever I want to drill a hole. And if I need to slot a hole, I slot a hole.
Are you actually an engineer?
I am an engineer.
What do you build?
I work at Kennedy Space Center.
You do?
I do.
No fair.
Yeah, it's a cool gig. I like
Do
it.
you build the rockets?
We work on the launch pad and the launch tower and stuff. So my team does I'm the arms and umbilicals manager. So you ever see all the stuff that swings out of the way as the rocket's taking off?
Mm-hmm.
That's what my team does. All those little pieces that swing out of the way. I work with a bunch of really smart ladies and gentlemen.
You never told me your name. What's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt?
Yeah. All right. All right. We'll put our good panel back away. Don't accidentally trash it.
Are you building 2 Krakens?
We are. We'll have 2 Krakens when we're all said and done. This guy's real quick.
So last time I was here, you guys were putting a light on the Kraken.
Yep.
Where is it?
On the angler lure or which light?
The angler lure.
It's in the light box. Okay. That guy will be there. We can show it to everyone else. So, whoop, there we go. There's our angler lure. We're kind of converging between last year's angler lure and the year prior. The year prior was kind of larger. Actually, it was really big. The first year was really big. It went off, and it was like 3 or 4 feet of hose. It was excessive. I'm not sure who we were trying to impress with that, but and the next year we wanted a really small angler lure. It's kind of, it's almost subtle. You didn't really notice it. That's not our style. So this year we're going back to something kind of in the middle. It'll be bigger than last year. Nowhere near as monstrosity as the first year.
How many years have you been doing this?
Doing battle box?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, lots.
I'm gonna do this one day. I'm gonna help you out.
All right. Well, we were just talking about Finger Tech. One of our sponsors makes a great kit that'll get you started.
What's finger tap?
Finger Tech.
Oh.
They make little robot parts.
Oh.
And little parts for 1 pound robots. And that's what Kate and Houston like. And they have competitions all over the country. Just about every region of the United States.
Oh.
And they even have 3 pound robot competitions and other different weight classes that they have throughout the world. So they just had some competitions over in England.
So how do you guys fly a plane with this thing?
She goes in that box right there, that big crate. We'll pack her and all of our tools and everything in that crate. And then we load it in the back of a pickup truck. It's no name. And they drive away with all the tools and $20,000 robot.
And that box right there. That orange box?
No, this big one right here.
Oh!
That box.
Oh my.
All of that. Yeah. All right. We're making progress now. Starting to turn into a Kraken, right? Starting to look more Kraken-y as we go.
Something heavy.
The robot or these panels?
The robot.
The robot is very heavy. It weighs 250 pounds.
That's more than me.
Oh, yeah. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. So for some reason, oh, that's right. I remember now. So one of the screws that we had was I drilled off. So like I said, it's my hobby, not my job. So I just moved it over a little bit. And, so one side's a little bit different than the other side, but it still works. Waving hello. All right, so we've got the same situation over here.
Where's that one go? The back?
Nope, this one goes along the front.
Oh.
So it looks like that when it's all.
Does the Kraken see itself, or you guys remote control from it?
We control it, yeah.
With what?
This controller.
Oh my.
Yeah. So there are teams like Chomp that they have automated functions on their robot. So they will be able to see their opponent and attack.
Maybe I can come to the BattleBot thing.
Maybe. It's in California this year. We do fight with Kraken in Florida at an event called Robot Ruckus, which is a lot of fun.
Have you guys ever won
Ever won a competition or a fight?
a fight?
Oh yeah, we win lots of fights. We win occasionally. How about that? Oh no. Alright. So we're going to do the same thing over here that we did before. We're going to just take our holes. We're going to use our drill bit.
That thing looks mean.
Thanks. It's supposed to look mean. Scare our enemies. Sweep up when we're done moving.
Now this is probably a stupid question, but can this thing kill you?
Sure. We generally try not to have it. It's bad for publicity. Although maybe not. Maybe if we kill somebody, then everyone would know who we are.
But you don't want to try to kill me.
No, of course not. Robots are friends, not food.
So the second career that you did it, did you win or lose?
The second competition,
Mm-hmm.
we won some fights, but we didn't win enough to win the whole thing.
So how many fights are there in the whole thing?
Depends on whether you win or not. You get 4 fights in BattleBots. You get 4 fights in the beginning. And if you win your 4 fights, or most of your 4 fights, then you get more fights. But if you lose your 4 fights, then you're out. And you got to go home and try to get better for next year. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to get better for next year. We get better every year. The first year we only won 1 fight, and then last year we won 2 fights. Well, the first year we did pretty bad. Second year, we did not as awful.
And the third year?
Third year, we haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, so this is going to be your third year?
Yeah. We're waiting for this coronavirus to go away so we can go fight robots.
And I hate the coronavirus. Nothing fun about it.
No, not very much fun. Sure words were never spoken. Alright.
So what are in here?
What are where? Oh, those are spare teeth. We'll reforge those and then we will make more of the little teeth that we welded on.
Oh, do we make more?
We will make more. So we will do forging. So those of us that are on YouTube, we're going to do forging here once coronavirus ends. The rest of our team can come back. That is not a one-man operation. That is not a two-man operation. We do, for starters, yeah, we forge everything on a little manual forge. So we're turning the pump, push air in, Someone's in there turning them on, making sure the fire's stoked properly. Oh, we got lots of questions. I'm sorry, folks. Hi, Jen. Hey, John's on there. He said 2 Krakens and 2 extinguishers. John's from the extinguisher team, Quicksilver Robotics. So he says 2 Krakens and 2 extinguishers. I think Ruckus needs a 2v2 battle. Yeah, I think so too. And then John asks, is the chomper working right now? The chomper is, it will be, yeah. We've got the spring hooked up. We worked on that a little bit earlier today, and it should be good to go. And we're getting the head panel bolted up, and then we'll be about there on this one. We'll be able to do a little quick test and make sure everything's fail-safing properly and ready to go. By the way, Dylan, everyone says hi. You're asking great questions.
Hi.
So these were head panels from Ruckus. And BattleBots. So they are really tore up. But they're still good enough to fight old iron. So it looks like we're going to go. One of the holes we made, I don't know what happened, but it's so far off it's not even worth trying to fix. So we're gonna skip one of them. Now we can go through and tighten it now. Normally, before we put these panels in, we'd fill these eye holes with the actual lens, and there's a light that they're backlit. But they're fragile. They're all individually made out of a piece of Lexan, and we heat them up and then use a vacuum actually to pull it down into a mold. So they're kind of fragile, and we don't want to go through some of our spares. We already have some broken ones. They're kind of a pain to install, so we're going to leave them out for this. They don't really offer much protection. They do look neat, but you can hear those springs in there shaking around. Can't find it, grind it.
We can can you go see if you can play?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. One minute. What's up, Pop? You ready to go inside too? Go. is this? They're doing stuff right now. They're actually kind of tired from while they're swimming.
Oh.
So that's ready to roll. That is ready to roll. Which means we next thing is getting a little bit of wiring cleanup here. So let's spin this guy around. And see what's going on. So this is the battery that runs the head component. So this will run the valves. It'll also run the igniter, and it powers the servo for the flame system. We have 4 larger batteries, and they're inside this little rubberized case. And they get located down here at the bottom. There's 2 for each side, 1 for each drive motor. So they get located in the base. So now when we last year, one of the valves, this valve here actually was located down below down here. So we had this whole side was open for all of the electronics and all of the battery and everything. It doesn't fit there anymore, so I think we're going to have to move it down to here. And I think, yeah, we've got sufficient room down there. All of that. We just rearranged the garage, so now I can't find anything. Okay. Where'd you go? Oh, in the container labeled Velcro. All right. So all we're gonna do with this guy is we're just gonna put a piece of Velcro on our battery here, so that we can hang out in the robot and not fall. What's up, pup? My dog got there. Oh, you guys can't see her. There she is. There's the puppy. She's getting old. She's loving this quarantine though. I'll tell you that. So I am home all day long. Normally Sarah and the boys will be here, but you know, they'll go to the store or piano lessons or the park occasionally or a field trip or something like that. But they're usually here, but they will always have times when they're gone. But since we've all been trying to socially isolate, social distancing, whatever the heck you want to call it, there has always been someone home with the dog. And if they're not home with the dog, then that's ready. Alright, so we're going to close that up. I think Kraken is ready to fight. That is it. Go on. So that the fail safes work. But we've had to throw it apart, back and forth so many times. We've switched transmitters. We've had to reset up the transmitter. So I just want to make sure that it's going to fail safe properly before we put it on the ground with batteries in it, where you know, someone or something could get hurt or damaged. So we're going to go in and grab the transmitter for that. And we'll get the batteries in. We'll do a quick wheels up test. Hey, bud. Yeah, they're all tired. They're laying in bed, sleeping on the couch. So, question: are you working from home? Yeah, working from home. So I got my. I took a spot in the robot room actually and set it up with my computer and monitors and stuff from work. So I've got a nice little workstation. My computer chair is just destroyed. So I ordered a new computer chair, so hopefully that'll be here soon. And then we'll be ready to go. What's up, pup? You need to go inside, get a drink? I need a drink. It's very hot. Hey, pup. Sounds like a wheel bearing. Alright, so we got our transmitter powered up. Let's switch the batteries.
Do you have to do any welding?
Nope, not anymore. Finished it earlier. There's one. There's two. Now, normally these get kind of tucked down inside the robot. We're going to adjust our camera again so you guys can see. There we go. Normally these will get tucked down inside, but we don't need to go to all that trouble tonight. We're just going to do a little test fit. Make sure everything is working. Everything is powered up. Fail safes work. And we'll kind of unplug everything. Now I did a test on the fail safes last night on earlier this week actually on the pneumatics, and I did not get the ignition system to fail safe. So I've got some work on that to figure out why. Set up the transmitter and stuff so that it fail safes. But fail safes there. Yeah, that's super sharp. So just so you know, bud, stay back from these tires for a minute. We're going to power on them. And we don't want to do anything crazy. That guy's good. One of the requirements of BattleBots is that you have lights to indicate power. So you can kind of vaguely see. Sorry, you're going to do a random moved around camera a little bit. But you see the lights down in there lit up. Inside the battle box, it's a little bit darker, so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. Very good. All right, so let's do a little test. We have little foam guards that go over the corners of the robot because as you're working on it, they're black, and you smash your thigh on them, and they will leave a bruise that will last for days, weeks, or months. So let's do a test. Forward looks good. So I have, let me show you what's going on here. I was just doing a quick test. Kraken, if you may have noticed last season, wheelied really hard. So what I'm actually doing is I have this switch set up as a dual rate switch. So it's down right now, which is in normal mode. And you can see the speed of the tires. You hear how they got faster? That's the boost. So normal driving will be like that, which is about 30% throttle, and 70% throttle, 30% reduction in throttle. When I need to get someone in a bike, I'll hit the boost button, and that gives me about 30% more power. And John asked, you have a switch per wheel? Yes, I have one switch per side. So each side is completely independent. I have two receivers. I have two tires. I have two, each side is completely independent. So if I lose a side, I'm still good, and I can keep going. So I've got a switch for each side drive and another switch for the weapon. And the weapon system is actually completely independent as well. So I've got two transmitters. This one's the drive transmitter that I operate, and this one is the weapon one, which Sarah operates. So what we're going to do now, come back over here so you guys can see. We're going to hit the up button, and we're just going to power off our transmitter. And it immediately stops, which is what we want. Now, if we turn it back on, and we have our stick in the center, it should power back on, and we're good to go. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. We can redo that test at high speed mode. And it shuts off. So that's exactly what we wanted to do. So that proves to us that our battling robot is safe. The weapon not fail-safing is an issue we're going to have to resolve. I'm not worried about that too much. If I can drive, then I can avoid hurting people and hitting people. But if we lose the drive, if we lose the weapon, but we'll have to sort that out before battle up, because that is one of the requirements, is that we do that fail-safe test for the weapon, and if the valve needs to turn off and the flame system needs to power off, which right now the flame system stays wide open, so not ideal. But so this one's ready to go. So I think that's going to be all we're going to do for the video tonight, and then tomorrow we'll work on putting the speed controllers into 4-letter word, and we're going to do a robot fight. So more to come tomorrow afternoon. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Why is it